Hi, it's me again, talking about psychosis stuff again, and maybe I'll get onto bipolar this time, because this is episode 3 and I haven't really talked about bipolar yet. It is still new to me though, so stick with me and I will start talking about it. But basically, yeah, so I thought this episode I might talk about friends and family, and what they can do if someone they know is unwell or they're starting to notice signs. So I learned a lot from my family, who did a lot of research while I was unwell, that there's a lot of similar traits that a lot of people with psychosis seem to have. So I'd say the first one is if your friend or family member is not sleeping, or having real trouble sleeping, or having racing thoughts which are stopping them from sleeping, it's really integral that you get them to a doctor, because like, if you're if you kind of have that mindset, like that something wrong in your mind that will cause something to go wrong, a lack of sleep will trigger it so quickly. So that would be step 1. Tell them to get some help. If they are not willing to get some help or to talk to someone about it, start to be monitored, then maybe phone someone for them. There's like Action Postpartum Psychosis. There's like loads of psychosis charities. You can Google it, and look for the telltale signs. So lack of sleep, racing thoughts, 2 things. Let's see if I can do some more. So I had, and apparently a lot of people have, heaven and hell, and like good versus evil, and like that kind of thing going on. And like when I was in hospital, I definitely had that. Like I thought that there was like 2 doors into the hospital. One was like where people came in and out, and one was a back exit where like staff could leave. And I thought that door 1 was heaven and door 2 was hell. And I was terrified of that hell door. And if I saw people walking towards it, I'd like freak out and stuff. And I thought that God was working there, because I think I said to him, "Are you God?" And he said, "Yeah." Like he was just a guy working there. And obviously, like I believed him. So I thought he was God. I also thought the devil worked where I was in the hospital, because I felt like I saw 666 on her head, and I saw like a little skull in her eye. I mean, she definitely didn't have those things, but I hallucinated them, and then thought she was, pure evil. So I was absolutely terrified of her. But like, and I was just horrible to her, and I feel awful, so awful when I think back to what the nurses, who were like amazing, went through when I was unwell. But that's for another time. Whatever, we're not worrying about that now. We're worrying about you as a friend, what you should look out for. So maybe if that person starts to talk quite seriously about heaven and hell, and especially if they are cutting you off in mid-sentence, if they don't do that normally, like some people do, but if that person doesn't do that normally, that's a sign that something's not right. And I would say especially the main time to look for these signs is when a person has just had a baby, especially if they're quite a sensitive person. They are used to getting overwhelmed, or they kind of have they have a predisposition for getting, overwhelmed, or they're quite sensitive, or, even if they've been having strange fascinations, like around the time, I know that my friend was very involved in watching the news, and so was very terrified of terrorists, and she thought that her partner was a terrorist. And that's when she became unwell, that was one of her beliefs, like that that her partner was a terrorist. I know that my mum, she watches this, so I won't say too much because she'll hate me, but she sort of had loads of stuff going on. She was hospitalized for a few years before I was born, and so I don't know if I'm right on this, Mum, but I think you said that you started to see music coming out of the radio. Oh, yeah, or it started to sort of talk to you, and the radio started to talk to you. Obviously, if your friend says that's you, get them help immediately, because that's a scary, scary thing. And I hope my mum won't mind me talking about it, but when she was unwell, it was like the 70s or the early eight. No, I think it must have been the late 70s. And like, there was no aftercare. There was no, like, they just called it a nervous breakdown. Like, they didn't even have a term for it, like psychosis, and that you have bipolar. It was manic depression, and so it was really like just so unfortunate that happened at that time. At least things had moved on a bit, but not enough. So yeah, no aftercare, nothing, just spurted out of a hospital and just like, this is your life now, like, and she's, I hope she doesn't mind me saying it, being amazing. Like, she's overcome it, and she's very, she's very zen now, like, for the most part. I bet you're having a laugh now, Mum, but you are pretty zen. She paints and, yeah. So, so what my friends and family did when they found out I had psychosis, they researched it. But, they'd never heard of it. So obviously they didn't know that it was happening when it was happening. Who would? Like, so that's why I think it's just so useful to have a knowledge of psychosis and have a knowledge of what's going on, like, because essentially it's an extreme version of anxiety. Your brain just gets so anxious that it starts to hallucinate. You have delusions. You just have these, some of the things are absolutely insane where your mind can go. I mean, it fascinates me, like, where my mind can go, where anyone's minds can go, and like the things that they can believe and the things that they can imagine. And in like shamanic tribes, like, psychosis is revered as being this amazing thing that if you're like, I think I've mentioned it before in one of my videos, like, if you're like psychotic or whatever, you just get taken in by the shaman and trained up to become the next shaman, because it's a spiritual awakening, so yeah, like this, it's an interesting thing. And it's a shame that in our society you're sort of medicated straight away and you just pump back into society, and I'm not having a dig at, because it's amazing, like the aftercare and everything that you get. Oh my God, I had 3 years of early intervention and psychosis team working with me. I had anxiety prevention. I had a psychotherapist working with me. It changed my life. I had a peer support worker who worked with me, helped me, and all these, and a care coordinator who was like amazing. All these fantastic people. So yeah, if you're a friend or family member of someone who's had psychosis, or talk to them about it, like, find out what's going on in their heads, maybe even write down some of the stuff they're saying and relay it to doctors and relay it to any teams that are working with the person, or anything like that, just to get them the help they need, because the help is there. And there's some amazing teams and like some groups that groups and websites, and there's a lot of help out there, like, and I just want people to know that. And as if you yourself have ever had a psychosis, seek out other people who've had it, talk to them about it, like, seek me out. I'll do a link in the bio to my email address and just send me an email and, you know, like, let's chat about it, because I find it fascinating. And I became a peer support worker because I wanted to meet more people who'd had psychosis and talk about it, you know. And like, so many people, they come out of it. Like, you come out of it quick. There's really good medication, you know. People shouldn't be scared to take the medication. Like, it works really well for psychosis, and, you know, just gets you back to focus on what's going on. Focus is very important for new mums, things like that, like where you've got to do a lot of things. Getting that focus back is amazing. And just getting on the right, if you need a combination of drugs, like, you know, getting on that right combination of drugs, absolutely, yeah, amazing. So I'm on olanzapine at the moment and sertraline, which is an antipsychotic at night and an antidepressant in the day. And I felt like, and I do meditation, and every day I do meditation. I don't do yoga every day, but I want to. I'll get there. But yeah, doing calming things and just like, you know, eating right and stuff. There's ways to manage, you know, your moods if you've had a psychotic episode. If you're then diagnosed, you know, so people with psychosis go on to be diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar. I didn't have schizophrenia because I wasn't hearing the voices, but I essentially had everything else. But yeah, I was told bipolar because my manic episodes were so high. And it's amazing, like, let me talk about Mania, because it's amazing. Like, it's like, it's doing drugs without having to, you know, pay for them. Like, it's just really great. Like, but also you can't live like that. It's a state that you cannot live in. So that's why I manage myself to try and keep myself away from that mania, because honestly, it's, you know, like when I was manic the last time, like I went to the betting shop and I put on bets. I never do that. I went to the charity shops, picked up presents for every person I knew, piled them all in a bag and gave them out to everyone. I cleared all my cupboards and gave everyone loads of presents, and like, oh, like things that, like, my poor partner who watches this as well, like, I'm so sorry I gave away some of your presents that you bought me from, like, you know, with love, like, just giving them away to people. I'm so sorry. But yeah, like, I don't know, I've spoke about the fact that I feel like I need to change the world when I'm unwell, and with the mania, you do have all these amazing ideas. Like, it's like a whirlwind. You just get this idea and you're like, yes, this is the thing that's going to happen in my life. I'm going to change my life. And this is how I went and bought 16 notebooks so that I could start my own counselling business or something. And those notebooks are like sitting downstairs. Like, I've got 16 notebooks now. I don't really know what to do with them all. So maybe if I become an energy healer, I can use notebooks as well. Hopefully I'll make it work for me. Use those. But yeah, like, what was I talking about? Bipolar, mania. So yeah, there's a lot of synchronicities. So a song will play that you're like, oh my God, this is the most perfect song with the most perfect lyrics that I've ever heard. Like, this is perfect. And then you'll start synchronizing numbers. Oh my God, the number 1111 has just come up. Actually, it came up today, just now, which was quite cool. But now I look at them, and when I'm well, I'm like, oh, that's nice. There's a little, you know, the universe is there, like, communicating with me. Cool. But like, when you're unwell, it's like this, oh, it's so amazing. That song was just on 222 and it's track 2, and like, everything's perfect, and, you know, everything's a sign. And, you know, when you're back to everyday life, it doesn't really, yeah, you don't have the energy maybe for that. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I'm on medication, but yeah, like, I'm not on medication for much longer, and I'm quite looking forward to the time where I can say I'm medication free and then see what happens. But anyway, 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm done. Take care. Bye.